Alright everyone, JV here, and we are back with another Dragon Ball Legends video here on the channel today. Now today, we're going to be pretty much going over the best teams for Ultra UI Goku. Because if you haven't heard yet, I mean he's pretty much that guy. He's been out for a few days, so it's giving me some time to actually try out different teams with him. And you could pretty much run him on most teams and he'll still cook. So just a quick shout out, Merry Christmas to everybody. Yesterday I didn't upload yesterday because I'm celebrating just like y'all. But if you don't celebrate Christmas, either way, happy holidays. And yeah, we're gonna get into the video. I'm gonna start trying to do cuts in between my videos, so that way it doesn't seem like I'm just prolonging throughout the whole video, right? No cuts. It's quicker that way, right? But as always, if you're new around here, consider leaving a like on this video and hit the subscribe button. I see a lot of new faces around here. Love to see it. But on to the video. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, first team we have, obviously probably his better team, his best team, Universe Rep. So Universe Rep, there is, let's say there's two versions of this, right? First one I'm going to be showing you guys is with Goku and Frieza. Now you're probably wondering why I have them, on this team when it's obviously a blast based team. With Goku and Frieza, if you don't know by now, which, if you've been playing the game, you should. They're pretty much either strike or blast. Their stats aren't that far off. You can build them either way. The best option for you to do is, if you do have them and you want to run this team with the the Zenkai buffers at the bench, you can give them just strike orientated equips and then leave the bench as it is, because it's not going to matter, because they're literally doing damage on either side and they're stacking that damage with each card they use. So for those who might ask and question me in the comments, now on this setup, you're pretty much running a Zenkai buffer for each one of these people on the top three, for the Tag Evo Ken boys and Ultra UI. Now Ultra UI, you don't have to put him in the leader slot for this team because he's literally getting his full 30% from each one of these Universe Rep party members. So looking at this, right, you can bring Evo Ken right here. Well, not Evo Ken, Evolution Vegeta. There's also the option to bring, I believe, if we can find him down here. Let's see if he's down here. There is the yellow Kaioken Goku. So say you don't have Evolution Vegeta Zenkai, this guy right here also buffs God Ki and yellow. And then he also buffs, he does only buff straight attack. So that is the downside. He's not giving any defense, no blast attack, just straight attack. And you have Topo, who's buffing Evo Ken. He's giving strike and blast attack. And then you have UI buffing blast attack and I think blast defense, but he's buffing Goku and Frieza. So besides this team, right, say you don't have, like I mentioned, maybe you don't have one of these Zenkai buffers, I believe everyone should have Bergamo. He would be a solid option to throw on here, just simply because HP has become, I would say, more valuable now. Because it seems like, there's all these high-powered offensive units, and then, well, they're taking a lot of damage. There's no real just good defensive mechanics nowadays. That's just the way it's been the past few months. But I feel like having a little bit of extra HP will definitely be solid. Now, as far as the equips go for what I'm running on this team, right, for the top three units you're gonna be using, we have the Jiren equip, if it's, of course, up to 45% total once it's fully maxed out. Do you have this one? I like this one. It's giving blast, strike attack, and then the bottom slot you have an option, so it can either be blast or strike. But at the end of the day, you're still getting up to 10% health and 10% of whichever stat. And then I gave them this pure equip, double defense, and pure 5%, up to 15%, but it's 5% per Sun family. So that's why this setup kind of works pretty well for them. It just, the thing is with Goku and Frieza, you want to have a Zenkai buffer for them. So for those saying, you know, because they kind of feel not as great. You know, they're still a good unit, no doubt. You know, they're still probably in the top 10 in my opinion, but they just don't feel as good without a Zenkai buffer, you know. So you might want to, you know, either you can throw either UI or the purple tag, not tag, the purple Super Saiyan 3 Goku. Those are two options I would suggest. But as far as for these guys, gave them the journey equip. This goes up to 35%. It's 15% first slot, 10% second slot, then bottom slot, you know, with health and that extra blast attack. Now for UI, gave him something similar, gave him the same thing with this journey equip, and I gave him this pure equip as well, giving him up to 12% once you max it out to base and pure blast attack. Now do you have to run a pure equip? No, but pure equips do definitely help a lot. I am also running this, but this one is optional, I feel like, for him at least, because there is another equip that he just got right here that I'm currently working on. So this goes up to 20%, first slot goes up to 10%, and then the bottom slot goes up to 38%. In my opinion, this is the better equip for him, at least. So let's say you don't have this equip, right? Or maybe not this equip. You can run this equip, and then there's also the option of this one. But let's say you're like me, you know, this is like the only one that I have, and it's still not fully worked on. You can also give him this one, because it gives him, you have that bottom slot as well, up to 30% blast attack. So those are all, you know, options you can throw on them. That's personally what I think. But, you know, as far as the next team, we're gonna move on to that after we show you guys what I was talking about here. So say you don't have Goku and Frieza, or you just don't want to use them. This is also a solid team you can run. It's literally probably his best setup when it comes to Universe Rep. Just a full-on blast team. Thing that does suck is that, you know, 17 doesn't have any Zenkai buffers. So I would suggest, if you don't at least have 17 at least like 7 stars or 1 red star, he's going to be taking a lot of damage, and then it feels like he's not bringing as much value to the team. You know, of course his little support does still help, but he's not doing as much numbers as far as damage wise either. But he does have a lot of, you know, equipped options, so you can literally just put on some solid equips for him. We're not gonna talk about that, for at least not for this video, right? But we're mainly just here to talk about UI. But this is a solid team setup you want to do. Like I said, Bergamo is optional for the health on the bench. But as far as like the bench goes, you're gonna probably have a lot of Zenkai buffers. And even if you don't have Zenkai buffers, just throw somebody that's giving solid blast attack and defense, and you're solid. So moving on to the next team. Alright, so we're here with the next team. We're gonna be talking about Sunfound, because this is, besides Universe Rep, one of his better teams to use. Now, we have Pan there. We're going to explain why she's there, right? You probably wonder, well, Beast Gohan is a better option. But the thing is, I don't have Beast Gohan. So, we're going to work with what we have. Now, Beast Gohan, I feel like, is a better option when it comes to who you can throw on this team in that leader slot. But Pan is also another solid option, I feel like, as well, with her support. And also giving Disrupt and reducing sub count. So, when you look at the two, unless you're looking for more damage, then pick Beast Gohan. But if you want a support unit, pick Pan, right? Now looking at the top 3, you see Evo Ken is also here as well. Because it doesn't really matter when you have Pan here, whether you're giving a strike and blast attack. Because she's just there just to take hits. And pretty much just disrupt, you know, and just make it difficult for the enemy. Now, if you don't want Evo Ken there, right? Say you want a Rise and Rush protection. Because technically Pan is kinda, but she isn't a revival unit. You can use Revival Goku, pretty much because you will have a Rise and Rush protection, and he is a range type, so he is buffing up that range attack. Yep. So strike, well, he's buffing up both strike and blast. So you can also bring him, but let's say you don't want to bring Pan. You want to bring Gohan, which we're using her as an example. you can leave him in the leader slot. That's the best option for Gohan. When it comes down to your bench, let's say you want a bit more HP, maybe your units aren't as high star, you can use this guy, who I never did a campaign for, so don't even say nothing. I know, but he does buff Goku characters, so as long as Gohan or Pan is in the leader slot, they're pretty much getting that HP buff. And as far as it goes, you know, for like the Zenkai buffers, you could, for like Revival Goku, you could throw either Super Saiyan 3 Goku right there, or you can go back over here, go to Universe Rep, and you can throw on Topo, because he does buff up Universe Rep. And then this Goku will also be getting that buff, right? So, because he is in the leader slot, so I want you guys to keep that in mind. So he's going to be missing out on a few buffs. But as far as that goes, you can throw him on there. You can throw Evo Ken if you want to. Overall, right, this is probably what your setup is going to look like if you want the HP buffer. But if you don't want the HP, you could probably opt for something just blast orientated, right? Well, not blast orientated, strike and blast. Because we're looking at it from a perspective of you using Beast Gohan. Another option we could probably throw, I think we're past him up, is Namku down here. He does buff strike and blast just like Topo. Or maybe you want a Zenkai buff, you know, Gohan, and you don't really care too much about the Z abilities. But I see some people don't, you know, they don't really go all out for the Z abilities. A good option, you know, you can take them off, is this Gohan right here, because he does buff Sun Family or Hybrid Saiyan, but he does Zenkai buff Gohan. He is buffing, you know, Red and Hybrid Saiyan, so he's a solid option to throw there as well when it comes to just your options, right? So either Pan or Gohan, but we're looking at it from, let's say, Pan's perspective right now, because I don't have Gohan, so I don't know his best equips or anything like that. But as far as Pan, right, you want to give her a lot of defense and just health. You can give her, you know, some equips with attack if you want to. This is what I normally use right here. These three right here, because this one is giving health as well, double defense. This one is giving just some special moves, strike attack and some defense. Same thing with this one, blast attack and defense. No, blast attack and health. So you just want her to be able to take hits and disrupt as long as she can throughout the match. On this setup, you can definitely run the same similar equips. This journey equip, probably you want to use this one more or less. And then you also have this one right here. Now there are other options out there for equips right now, but as far as that goes, that's what I think personally. So I forgot to mention this on the other team, that you can use this for Goku and Frieza as well, because this is giving that pure and then that base strike attack, right? So looking at another option you want to probably throw on this team, say you don't have him, you know, Revival Goku, and you don't have what's the name, Evo Ken, tag Evo Ken boys, take them off. You could definitely run, we're gonna use them as an example for Goku and Bardock. You can definitely run Bardock and Goku, but the issue is you would have to change up your team, your bench at least. So let's take off him, and let's look down here, because we can Zenkai buff them with Namku right there, and then we're gonna have to take him off. Like, this entire bench will have to change if you want to run them alongside each other, right? So it's with some fam, it's more or less you're gonna have to put some units in the leader slot and then sacrifice certain units to actually make it work. Now we're looking down here, I would say we can probably, let's see, so when you're looking at this, right, you could probably do something like this, and then I believe this guy buffs, does he buff blast or strike? He buffs blast. So you probably do something like this if you wanted to, right? This obviously looks like it looks horrible, but there are some options out there. It's just you would just have to look, right? And then you can also say you don't have her, right? You just want to buff their strike and blast abilities. These guys are buffing both of those, so do keep that in mind. 30% attack GT or Saiyan strike and blast attack. But the thing is, you would be without how should I put it? You'd be defenseless more because they're not buffing that much defense. They're just buffing up, just base up strike attack, blast attack. So do keep that in mind. But that is the best team that I think for Sun Fam so far. With that being said, we're gonna move on to the next team. See you there. Alright, so we are pretty much on the last team of the video that I've linked up so far. I feel like Darky has come a long way, especially this past year. You know, with Gogeta, Rose, a lot of releases, right? So looking at the top 3, this is currently what we're gonna look at so far with Gogeta. So with this setup, right, it's more or less you're gonna have Gogeta in that leader slot simply because he's not getting that additional buff. Because most of the bench isn't gonna have Fusion Warrior. Like, it's not gonna happen, right? So let's look at a couple options. So let's say, you know, if you want to run something like this with both this Vegeta and Topo, and even Vegeta without Zenkai buffing Gogeta, which I feel like you kind of don't have to, but at the same time you probably should at least Zenkai buff him once. But this is also a solid setup because you have Evo Ken right there. And the thing is with Evo Ken though, when you're running, let's say, because you're running alongside with Gogeta, he isn't, like I said, he isn't like Goku and Frieza. He's mainly strike orientated, so you probably want to run Revival Goku instead, simply because he gives that strike and blast attack to Saiyans and Universe Rep. But you can also remove Vegeta right here, right? And let's say you want to Zenkai buff Gogeta, you can definitely do that with Zamasu right there, while still buffing both Revival Goku and Ultra UI Goku. Now there is a couple different options. You know, I know some people might mention maybe Rose, which you could throw him in there as well. I just feel like if team synergy wise, it wouldn't work. You know, so it would either have to be Gogeta or Rose in the leader slot. And then you could also throw, if you don't want Gogeta on here, right? You can also throw Zamasu, which we're going to talk about in a second. But as far as equips, right? We're going to go over those real quick. Same thing with him. Journey equip. I gave him this equip right here. First slot, double defense, special move, and up to 35% strike attack. And then this is his pre-equip if you're running along 3 Saiyans. Base health, special move, ultimate damage. And this is the one that we're mainly focusing on. 3 task Saiyan members, up to 15% per. Now as far as Revival Goku, you know, like I said, I just pulled the guy the other day, so we're gonna skip out on him a little bit, but it's pretty much the same for Goku right here. You don't have to run a period equip on all these setups, like I mentioned. Long as you have a solid amount of just like base coming from Z abilities, you can run a lot of these base equips. I'm trying to look for it if I can find it down here. So I don't think I have that one worked out yet, but I was going to mention this one, but this one is a little bit on the downside. But if you're a beginner, then this one isn't bad at all either. So, but it is, you know, way less than half of the equips that I mentioned. But as far as everything else for this team, right, you can definitely take out Gogeta and throw Zamasu, if we can find him. Or maybe I passed him up. I might be hallucinating, guys. I literally just passed this guy up. I was like, he was literally right there. And with this, Zamasu, I mean, he's just there, just to disrupt. He's a defensive type. So I literally never used them because I never had them. So you could definitely give him a Zenkai buff if you want, just for the benefit of the doubt, for extra just defense, right? Because I feel like this guy right here, I think he does buff. He buffs Darky. So you can throw him. or possibly this guy right here for the Zenkai buff, because this one he's a range type. So you can definitely throw them on there if you want to. He's buffing up draw, key, blast, attack, and defense. Same thing right here. So this wouldn't be a bad setup, because I mean, Ultra UI will only be missing out on what, 10% from that 30%, depending on how many universe rep people you have. And I mean, he still would be great without having that full 30%. It does help, right? But you can definitely put him in the leader slot as well. It just, the issue is, well actually no, I'm tripping. You definitely can put him in the leader slot on his team, because all these guys are buffing draw key, and I could have sworn I just saw Zamasu. This guy's hiding, but we already know who we're putting right there, right? At the end of the day, I feel like this is a solid setup. I don't know why he moved all the way up here. That was weird. He was down here, but this is a solid setup in my opinion. You're Zenkai buffing everybody, but also I want to throw in a little extra, right? So, say you don't Zenkai buff Zamasu. Let's see if I can find the guy. You want to throw an HP buffer right here. This guy is buffing up draw key for just pretty much just health. So a lot of these teams you see are either gonna have Zenkai buffers, or they're gonna have an HP bench. And even with, like I said, even without the Zenkai buffers, if you throw yourself just a solid amount of people on the bench, giving some good defense and whatever, blast attack, you're still gonna be solid. Zenkai just give you an extra, like, basically like a second Z ability. Just, it goes to all your stats, right? So that is probably going to conclude today's video. I mean, there could be some other units you could throw on some of these teams. That is what I came up with so far, right? Because some of the units, like I said, I don't have, so I haven't ever really experienced playing with them, but I have played against them. So do let me know some teams options that you threw, your UI on. What teams are you running? So I heard people are running solids from the movies as well with him. I've seen a team like that with Jiren. Well, not Jiren, Janemba. So that is interesting to see. But do let me know what you guys think. Was it helpful? What can I improve on? I love the feedback, that you guys give. It helps me out. But as always, everyone have a blessed day. It's your boy JB. I'm out.